Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I think everyone knows who my guest is, and we also have Stephen Smith, lead designer of Yeezy, who, unless you're a sneakerhead, you might not know that well. So we should probably all realize now Yeezy is a multi-billion-dollar brand. It did something like $1.5 billion in sales last year. It's wholly owned by Kanye West. And the two of them, Kanye and Stephen, came together a few years ago, met up and sort of lead Yeezy design now. And what I want to do today is have a conversation about that. Like, no one's really dug into the nuts and bolts of Yeezy design yet. Mm-hmm. And so let's start with, how did you find each other?
Oh, you know, I was working for another company, and I was head of innovation, and it wasn't innovative, and I walked away one day, which people are like, how, you just left your job? I'm like, yeah, it just wasn't it. And so for 2 weeks, my wife's like, well, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know, but I wasn't doing that anymore. And then one night, the phone rang, and it was Ye, and it started from there. I looked at it as a blessing. You know, I was in kind of a dark place, and this hand reached out and pulled me to the light, and pulled me from the depths to the top. And it's been an amazing experience ever since. And I was just saying to Ye this morning, it's like the last time I was in New York was the time you flew me out to meet you in person the first time. So it's just been amazing.
If I had known that you had just left your job, I wouldn't have spent 2 hours trying to talk you into coming to Yeezy.
I mean, it's funny, Stephen, if you look through his portfolio, it's staggering. New Balance created some of the, what you might consider like the quintessential New Balance shoes, the dad shoe. At Reebok, created this.
They call him the dad of the dad shoes.
At Reebok, created something totally just different, and that looks like it's an anime-inspired film that you actually inflate with an external inflator, still sold today, as many designs are, and now Yeezy. Talk to me about the first design you did together, or how that process started.
Well, you started going through all of your archives and sketches and pulling out, I remember these pictures of, what is like the Tupperware,
the bins of all my stuff.
The bins of all those ideas. And it was a sketch with a soul with those circles on it that are now signature to the 700. And, you know, what was the...
I remember you said to me, like, did they ever make this? And I'm like, no. He goes, what the hell is wrong with them? You know, all this stuff is amazing. You know? Yeah. Let's make all the things you've always wanted to make that they were too stupid to make. And I'm like, let's go. And, you know, the final design, it was Ye, myself, and a young Chinese kid, Ding. And for 48 hours straight, I'll never forget it, we passed sketches and
Thank
text.
you for announcing Ding's name to the entire shoe industry. So,
and so
you can get all the calls.
And so for 48 hours straight, he and I texted, emailed, whatever, sketches back and forth, and they were photoshopped, and I would redraw it, send it back to him, would take this part, put that part on it, mix it up, and it was like nothing I had ever done before, and it was just mind-blowing and exhausting. And finally I told Ye, it's like, dude, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm old, I gotta go to bed. And out of it came that last one to me, and after 48 hours, boom, this thing came out, and it was an amazing experience, like nothing I had ever done before. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
And that's that shoe you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then when it dropped, I mean, the thing sold out in 6.5 minutes, which was incredible. I mean, who wouldn't want to be part of that magic, you know? And it's continued ever since.
And we were before the movement, the resurgence of the dad craze, and we there was a photograph of me wearing this shoe, really big version of the shoe that we showed in the season 5 fashion show, and this paparazzi is great sometimes because they caught me wearing the shoe a week before the Balenciaga show that had the triple S's in it. And it's often like me and Dimna, the head designer of Balenciaga, have a similar spirit. And it's who's gonna get to the idea and bring it to the world beforehand. Like, if you remember, there was a paparazzi campaign that I dressed every girl up to look like my wife in the campaign. And then Balenciaga was working on it at the same time, and their campaign came out like 2 weeks later, and it was just the worst shame to the company that they had that they had got there afterwards. And then there's stuff one-to-one at the last Balenciaga show where I could show you one-to-one stuff in our office. I'm like, who's got cameras in our office? Who's seeing what we're doing? So, yeah. So that process, it's the balance between really being diligent about making the best the product, because we don't put a timeline on things, but the idea of competition that's out there helps present a timeline for people, and it makes things be better and forces us as creatives to bring things to market, because Yeezy is the Apple of apparel. There hasn't been an Apple of apparel. There hasn't been that thing. It's like you want to think, you see like friend come in with like a cool Uniqlo jacket, and you'll be like, wow, this is like the Apple of apparel. Then you go to Uniqlo, and it's like these weird dresses all over the place, and it's just like, this is not the way I picture it. Or, I worked at the Gap when I was 16. I got fired for shoplifting, and I couldn't afford Abercrombie. I could afford Polo because it was, at Marshall's and TJ Maxx, you get it like cheaper. But that way that Mickey Drexler made the Gap feel, and I'm really happy about what this founder of Allbirds said about retail and the experience. Or like, me and my wife went to Dover Street last time we were in New York, and we went to Jacob the Jeweler, and it was just such a beautiful experience to be able to go back into these physical spaces in this world that's so like D2C and online, and it's just therapeutic just to see the way someone else laid out the clothes. And it's just like all these members of the industry are so important, the buyers and the shoppers and the sales clerk. I was a sales clerk. I was folding t-shirts at the Gap at one point. It's the entire experience from the Stephen Smith sketch to someone lining up for the Yeezys.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you think about what we do, you think about what you did with Gap, it's like we create objects of desire. And if we don't love it, how could we expect anybody
folded
else to love
objects
it?
of desire.
You are prolific designers together, though. You go through so much, and how does working at Yeezy compare to, Reebok or the time you spent at New Balance?
You know what? The thing I love about Kanye is the rules are gone. Everything you've ever done has just been smashed to pieces, and we think about it completely different. And it's liberating creativity like I've never experienced before. When I worked at Nike or one of the other big corporations, you're a cog behind a desk, and it's pre-programmed with, we'll have a focus group, we'll get a brief, we'll pitch it to management, 10 people will decide what we're going to do from there, and then you'll do 4 more sketches, and then 10 other people will decide on that, and then we'll show it around and get people's feel for it, and it just takes forever. And with Ye, it's just like, go, and we create, and it's like nothing else. You can't describe it till you're in it. It's
well, what I hear a lot talking to designers is design's about constraints, and so I hear sort of the opposite end of it, or am I misinterpreting how you work in terms of removing rules?
He'll put some constraints on us.
What's some of those constraints?
No laces.
That's our new constraint.
No
I'll be
stitching.
At Sunday service having to tie my shoes 7 times in the middle of service.
But it's relatable problems we're solving.
It's Yeezy, make life easy. We
Yep.
got to put all the all the work in so you guys don't have to put the work in, even as we think about the way colors work together, the way I was sitting, my wife's this morning taking a bath, and I'm literally reading to her the psychology of color. This is true, right? Like she's like trying to just take a bath. I'll read you some of it. This is what she has to hear in the morning. It kind of reminds me of, what is that Wes Anderson, The Grand Budapest Hotel? The way the guy would just read poetry to people. They were like, people would fall asleep while he's talking.
It's just not you, Kim. It's all of us.
So it says, blue, safety, symbolism, no immediate hazard, psychological effects. Blue is considered beneficial to the mind and body, slows humans' metabolism, releases calming hormones. This is my wife, like, I just want to take a bath.
You said, no, you need blue.
Yes.
A lot of, my take on fashion design has always been that it leans more toward art, that it's art you wear, that sometimes it looks radical, it looks uncomfortable, and then later it feels different and accepted and great. And then I feel like the design with the capital D tends to be about solving problems, right? Recognizing something's a better user interface. We've eaten with forks for thousands of years because it's a good design. Where do you see your work on the spectrum of that? And do you see yourself going more into that design with the capital D, with Yeezy?
Absolutely, all finger foods. No more forks. Forks are dangerous.
Forks. Toothpicks.
I don't know anything about toothpicks, but yeah, it's, Da Vinci, a lot of people, I'm 42 years old, a lot of other greatest of our artists of all time, at age 40 say, I'm tired of doing what everybody wants me to do. And Da Vinci's like, I'm tired of painting these portraits for the rich elite women. And, I want to go and do bridges. We have to add science behind it. Now, I think Yeezy, I definitely think there was a breakthrough in what we did in the 350s and the 700s. But still, there's things when we're looking at color palettes, it's kind of been more of an opinion on something than it was a complete innovation. So now, today, that's what me and Steven are here to talk about, is how Yeezy is going into innovation, and we are, we moved the headquarters to Cody, Wyoming. We have a 4,000-acre ranch and a couple other properties out there. We're gonna be farming and going seed to sow and have our own cotton hydroponic farm and our own hemp farm and our own wheat farm, so we can see every element, and getting into, how we can have less impact with the dyes, because our color is a big signature of the brand, but also dyeing is one of the main things that's impacting the planet in the fashion industry. So just being responsible from A to Z, and what happens even as we're bringing within the next 2 years, our goal is to bring the manufacturing back to America, South America, and North America, and bring it back stateside, and also to present jobs for people back here.
And people, people thought Ye was blowing smoke 2 weeks ago when he said that. We're gonna manufacture Yeezy in the U.S. And people are like, come on. So I got off the plane last night, and these are the future of Yeezy. These were just made in Atlanta yesterday in the U.S. and pre-production, and we're going to start manufacturing in the U.S. We're going to bring jobs back here, and we're going to make Yeezys in America. And so this is revolution.
This is 100% made here?
Yes.
What's it made of?
This particular one is a hybrid of EVA, but it also has another foam that's blended into it that's from algae harvested from ponds. So it's eco concerns are intersecting with what we do. I mean, this is just the beginning of the future that Kanye envisioned for us to start working on and creating, and challenged us to, because it's always a challenge. Like, all right, let's do this now. Like, all right, hold my beer, game on, let's go. And when he's been saying he wants to make things in the U.S., I'm like, all right, let's go, let's figure it out, we'll do it.
Well, what we did, we took the word try and want out of it, and we just do, like Yoda says. And, it was always this thing where like me and Virgil were just trying to get an opportunity to be able to have an opinion on clothes. Like, it was like, as black designers out of America, you can't have an opinion. You can only be the consumer. You can only be a demographic. And that a boardroom says, okay, this is the black demographic. You're not gonna go a whole interview with me without me saying it. This is who you're supposed to vote on. This is what you're supposed to buy. This is your Popeye's chicken sandwich you're supposed to eat on. But it'd be exactly that. I have seen the boardroom and back, and it's completely a concept of a demographic. So for me and Virgil, where you have me, where he's African. Africans have a different mentality. They don't see racism, so they don't allow it to affect their moves. So Virgil has never been in a position where his color affected his decision to proceed in the way he interacted with people. Now me, a little bit, but it's like but more of it's a fire, like, okay, it's on me, but my mom got arrested at the sit-ins at age 6. My dad was a Black Panther. We were brought up in the church. So we'd see it and see past it, this theater that we live in, that social media greatly controls. It's like, and it's so funny to me, it's like always so obvious. It's like, why wouldn't it be there? Like when I was first doing my first fashion show in Paris, and everyone said, well, the Ocean started with a t-shirt, you should start with a t-shirt. It's like, I don't want to do a t-shirt though. I want to do a fashion show in Paris. Matter of fact, I don't want to, I'm going to do it. And it's done, and it's so. It's like, the life is, I don't know if you saw that Venus Williams interview where this guy was asking her, like, how do you feel about this match? Does anybody know the interview that I'm talking about, this YouTube clip? And she says, oh, I'm going to win. And the guy says, well, what makes you so confident? And then her father came in and said, she's going to win because she said she's going to win. Martin Luther King didn't get killed because of I had a dream. He had something else he was going to talk about, Black empowerment, economic empowerment. So, when I did the Forbes and I showed them the $890 million receipt and they still didn't say billionaire, they don't want us to know that we can buy land. They don't want us to have the 100% ownership, that I have 100% ownership at Yeezy. And the reason why I say these things out loud in this way is so I won't be killed. I said it out loud already. But last year, I was killed by the press for having a difference. Not having a difference in opinion, for having an opinion. I had a offer. Yeezy season 1 was the most viewed fashion show of all time, 4 times the Chanel show. So Bernard Arnault sat with me and said, we're gonna back your line, Kanye West. I had to meet, anybody that's ever been to Paris, have you been to this restaurant called Ferdy? It's like a hamburger spot. You gotta go there when you go. So I got this deal with Louis Vuitton, and I'm in the back of Ferdy about to do the Kanye West line, and my designers were gonna be, and they're sitting next to me, Stefano Pilati and Haider Ackerman are gonna be the head designers. Does anybody know Stefano from YSL? And I'm talking that, think about that. It's me, Stefano, and Haider. That's gonna be chic on chic on chic on chic on chic. It's gonna be the highest level taste, sensibility, stitching, double stitch, top system. And 3 months later, so I had to go to Adidas and say, hey, we gotta indemnify the apparel because LVMH is gonna pick it up. So 3 months later, Alexander calls me, who I'm still friends with, Bernard's son, says, at the board, they pulled on the deal. And this is like, I'm already thinking, no way Nicolas Gassier is gonna take a picture with me. There's no way, because it's like elitism and fashion. And that would have, before Tim Bloom represented the famous sculpture, and that would have been, before I had a PhD at the Art Institute of Chicago, it's like LVMH represented art and fashion at the same time. So for a guy, straight, black, rapper, entertainer, American. All these things are, you can't tell me what t-shirt to wear 5 years ago, right? So for that to have happened, that would have just broke, if the world wasn't ready for that. I was just sitting there like, there's no way. And of course, it was no way. The first Adidas collection came out and there were lineups around the store. Then the second collection that we did, no lineups, no store, no backer. I told Adidas that Elvin made. I said, hey, Adidas, I'm gonna marry Giselle. I know we just went on prom. I came back, hey, Giselle dumped me. Would you, you still wanna? So the second collection, there's no Yeezy. The third collection, now I'm investing. I can't put atelier together. You can't imagine how hard it is to get 4 amazing pattern cutters in the same room, right? So I'm trying to put this atelier together, and I'm tweeting at Mark Zuckerberg, hey, I'm in debt. I'm just triple title. Adidas is up. We're doing this. Mark, I heard you're looking for aliens. It's an alien right here. Come help me. Season 4, we start 45 minutes late. Now, season 3 killed them. MSG, 1,000 people. We dropped the album. Young Thug is on the stage. Or Travis Scott is jumping up. Virgil's standing right there. Everybody, 50 Cent and Jay-Z, everyone's in the audience. Season 4, we start 45 minutes late. Oh, it got to be LeBron James territory right there. Like when LeBron said, I'm going to the Heat, they were like, boy, you was late. Then a week later, my wife got robbed. Then a week later, I was tired and ended up in the hospital. Then a year after that, Bernard Arnault could have picked anybody he wanted to be the head of Louis Vuitton. And who was it? And as I got on that flight, I knew I had to go. Because if I didn't go and give Virgil that hug, who was I then? No one knew that the deal had been pulled 3-4 years later. No one knew that that was the beginning of me going to the hospital. No one knew how this game is. So now that I've made it through Vietnam, I'm gonna tell you exactly. When the Forbes wants to call me a centimillionaire and people say it's crass to call yourself a billionaire, I might legally change my name to Christian Genius Billionaire Kanye West for a year until y'all understand exactly what it is.
That's gonna be so hard to type. Like in an article, it's gonna be, the headlines are gonna get insane. It's gonna break Twitter. Please no on that one.
License.
It will be on the license plate, but there's 1 in 3 African Americans in prison now. There's a gentleman in jail in Houston, Rodney Reed, that all the evidence says that this guy didn't do it, and he's supposed to be executed in 30 days. And all the celebrity black will tweet about it. But the question is, would they stop playing basketball for a week to make sure that this innocent man gets out? For black people, I just say, don't just be a demographic. Own your power. Your power is not just to vote Democrat for the rest of our lives. That's not the power, just voting on who they told us to vote on. That's not what the power is. The power is when I talked to my lawyer and Adidas was treating me mean and I had 7 points of termination, I put on my trench coat and said, we're moving these factories to America. And that's how it's gonna be. And it's lovely. Our relationship is beautiful now.
Is Yeezy made it, like the 350, for instance, is that something you're going to be able to bring here? Is it because it's designed probably with different tooling and things like that than this shoe?
Or we'll change the design. We'll change it to something that has to be here. When I run for president in 2024, we're going to definitely know what y'all laughing at. When I run for president in 2024, we would have created so many jobs that I'm not going to run, I'm going to walk. What I'm saying is, when y'all read the headlines, Kanye's crazy, this is that, this, that, it's like 1 in 3 African Americans are in jail, and all the celebrities are in jail also, because they can't say nothing. They have no opinion. They're so scared. Even after this, I'm gonna get in the car and be like, feeling like how I felt at the telethon after I said George Bush don't care about black. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm definitely gonna be riding. My wife's just gonna be on the plane like, yo, okay, maybe you shouldn't have.
Let me pause you,
Yeah.
because I do wanna finish the discussion on design.
Okay.
And one project that's gotten a lot of media coverage, but I haven't really heard talked about much, is building the housing that was torn down. What's been called Star Wars housing, Star Wars inspired housing. I assume is not actually inspired by George Lucas, but maybe. Tell me where that was born from. Tell me what you want to do with it. Is that going to Cody? Is that part of Yeezy? How do we think about Yeezy and where it's going? Because I hear themes of sustainability. I've heard you say you want to hire a workforce out of prison. Obviously, you have a strong direction for it.
The building restrictions are way lax in Cody. That's one of the reasons why we got the land there, so we can think. Dayton, Ohio, the Wright brothers, they needed a chance to think, or we wouldn't have flight today. It's like if the world only knew the capabilities of what we have, the press would get out of the way and stop downing. I know it happens throughout history, but it stopped. Because you thought you were going to go to design, but the domes relate to this too. So,
well, the domes are obviously about more than just design.
So I have 300 acres in Calabasas, 312 acres because we got our little golden situation inside Hidden Hills, and we have this like 300 acres. And one of the domes, so we were testing the size of the domes, and we do 50 feet, 35 feet high or something. And one of the domes were 10 feet too high. And it was fine. We were just testing it. We're going to take it down anyway. But they came and said, you got to take it down. Okay, that's fine. But then they went to the media to tell them that they told me to take it down. Your dome is 10 feet too high, boy. Your dome is 10 feet too high. 10 feet? On my own 300-acre property, and we could have handled it like this. But you wanted to go to the press before to let everyone know that you were tearing down Kanye's domes.
They were worried the planes were going to hit at that height, I think, the 10 feet.
Yeah.
But what is the idea of those domes? Like, what is the larger idea there? What do you hope to iterate those into? Because I know iteration is a big part of what you do.
I have absolutely no hopes.
Yeah.
I only do.
What are you going to do then?
Create the T-shirt. The T-shirt of homes. Homes are a big, big representation of classism and separation and protectionism. The idea that somehow this one little fence can make the difference. This gated fence can make the difference, and say, this person hasn't made it in life. I made it in life, so I need to be behind this gate right here. So to create something where the actual information, people used to get killed for proportions. Proportions were sacred, not a Gucci logo, because the proportions give us the space to maximize who we are. We are God's iPhone. We are God's machines. He created us. So if the iPhone had its choice, he'd probably say, I only want to just lay on my back, charge up all day long. I don't want any of this extra. I'm not going to name any other brands that are in the iPhones, the Apple store. I'm not going to drop. So, hey, that's the same thing for our spaces. Dining rooms were created in the 1800s. They're not needed. What is a dining room? Why you gotta have a dining room in your house? So I'm very primitive in the way I think, very singular idea. 3,000 years ago, like Rome was our original Silicon Valley. A lot of the information is just, even electricity, Commonwealth Edison, they did this. The same thing you guys see happening to me was happening to Tesla. They were electrocuting elephants in the streets with Tesla cords so that Tesla would have a bad reputation. Anybody in this room ever heard someone talk bad about Kanye before? Now, when you sit here and you're like, man, maybe this man should keep going. Maybe we don't understand everything he's doing, everything he's saying. Maybe we should just stop giving him a hard time and give him an opportunity to change something.
Electricity is a very trendy form of power. The real power is simply the elements: earth, wind, fire, water. And through civil engineering, we can engineer a maximum existence for ourselves as human beings, as God's machines. But we're so in the box of this. Do you realize, like, this right here is like playing with dirt. This is the real thing right here. We have telepathic abilities. That's a headline they could use to try to down this whole thing, right? But but don't we feel each other? That is a telepathic ability that the green and black matrix numbers cannot control. Do not be afraid of numbers. How many people are afraid of what they're, how much you're gonna get paid this week, and can you cover Christmas? Can you cover rent? Do not let the numbers control you. That is 50 people trying to control 1 billion. Do not let media and numbers control you. Jesus Christ has already won the victory. I'm gonna implement my opinion in that. And do not, that is all control. Media control, propaganda, setting us up to be controlled by the radio. I mean, these people study, I'm studying the colors in this. People are studying Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the human needs, what we're needing, and feeding it, especially to women on Instagram. I'm not saying social media is all bad. Angry Birds was a very popular game amongst women. It had an action like this. Scientists understood that it released a dopamine, specifically in females. What else does this? And what does this? And there's no amount of flowers that husband that loves you so much that can match up to the amount of flowers that are delivered. Oh, I like that. I like that. You got this many likes. You got this many likes. And also another thing we said, having to show your amount of followers. You could choose. I choose to tell you I am a billionaire, right? There's some billionaires that don't want to do that. So you can you have to be able to choose it. They have to put some things.
It's changing. Instagram's testing it. You see other platforms that are testing it. And I think it's great you've been outspoken about it, because it is ridiculous that a teenager has to worry about how many people follow them on Twitter, especially. I guess just to bring this back to Yeezy for probably a closing thought is.
This is what Yeezy is. You're talking.
I love it.
You're talking to a founder.
Yeah.
This is the founder conversation.
What Yeezy is in product design, in urban planning,
Yeah.
in whatever else you want to tackle.
We don't want to. We will. And we are. But that is the thought that goes into this. It's not, oh, should we do street strings? It's like, picture these domes that I'm talking about. Picture these homes. Picture this world that we're talking about with the 4 elements, and understanding the most healing medication possible is love. The greatest things that humans have is each other. We need to be close to each other. But industry has designed cities where the house has to be a certain amount of distance from the school and a certain amount of distance from your job, so that you have to get in the car or take public transportation. And the world is set up to make us feel like we want to have less children, when children is the greatest thing and the closest thing to God that we have. So we have to re-engineer the cities. When I see New York, it's things I definitely like about it. I love New York. But then I also picture I Am Legend. Once people understand the value of fresh air, look at this. We have real light out there and real air, but we're using air conditioning and artificial light. That's just retarded. And I'm sorry, I can't say that word anymore. Sure, it's like in that. But, and then we'll go into, this thing happened in politics, and this thing, the media will shift you in every way you can. I say, MIT, wake up. The kids in MIT, you can do it, but you're focusing on things that are too small. I just gave you the blueprints. This is why the guy who made M. Night Shyamalan made Glass, to let everyone know that they're superheroes. And that was the whole thing. At the end of the movie, he had to show all the superheroes climbing up the side of the wall. So today, you just saw someone climb up the side of the wall. I went from $53 million in debt, considered to be crazy, discriminated against in music, in fashion, in business, in apparel. And I'm coming to you today saying we have our own farms. Cody's a great place to stay if you're into working with a real, true, and living, breathing founder that cares about humanity.
Kanye West. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. We're just gonna work our way off stage.
Did you actually have some questions?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Good, thanks.